one question that's asked a lot is why do I collect? And every now and again somebody stumbles across the channel and they're like, oh, these movies that are available on streaming, why do you waste your money buying things? And, well, to be honest, there's several factors go into it, but sometimes, every now and again, the question kind of seeps into my head. It kind of bounces around in there and I kind of form ideas and think things through, and I think it's healthy to actually break things down and actually look at why I do something. And I always say, and I've said many times before, that I was a huge frequenter to video stores. I loved walking in there and seeing walls of beautiful covers that just had the possibilities, endless possibilities of worlds, of stories, of tales, of adventures, of horrors, of emotions. Everything was there, able to be accessed. Everything, because in those days it was almost like the Old West. They didn't care about age ratings or anything like that. Just if you paid the money, you could get the movie. And that was a wonderful time. And there was a moment where you had that kind of camaraderie with friends. That's how you made friends. You talked to people in the video stores. People at work, you made connections, or I did on movies, where you started to trade stuff that was not easy to get a hold of. I always remember Zombie Flesh Eaters being one of the first ones I traded with someone, and putting that thing on, discovering a whole other world of cinema that I'd only barely scratched the surface of, was phenomenal. I mean, it opened up even more possibilities, something that has definitely moved into my adulthood and my collecting attitude these days. And then there was the explosion of satellite TV, cable TV, when there became dedicated movie channels, several of them, and then there became the glut of movies that you could see. But it was always the movies from the 80s. It was always the movies from the 90s as well, a little bit, but mostly the 80s that really fueled my passion for film. And it wasn't until the advent of real DVD and Blu-ray that my collection went from manageable into something that was more grandiose, because they were cheap, they were easy to get a hold of, there was plentiful, there was movies that had never seen the light of day in VHS. They had never become easy to get a hold of. They were always too expensive that I could now get a hold of. And even more so now, you're getting things in quality that I never expected to get. And we often look back, or I've heard people looking back at the video store days with nostalgic vision and wondering how great it was. People buying VHS and watching it on tube TVs, which I can kind of, at one hand, see the nostalgic value of that, but on the other hand, given the choice, I'd rather watch Zombie Flesh Eaters on 4K or on a massive TV than on a videotape on a tube TV. It's just, night and day for me. The movie is so much better cleaned up and preserved in the manner that it is now. And when I look at my collection, when I look at the movies that I buy, the ones that I keep in my collection, the ones that I now move on, because that is still happening, collecting 2.0 is still definitely a thing, it gives me a kind of warm sense. When I have worked hard, earned my money, when I have taken care of things and obligations that I have to do, when I've spent time with the family, when I want to kick back, when I want to relax, when I want to watch something, I want it there. I want it in the best quality I can get it. I want it with things that could enhance it, whether it be documentaries or making ofs or commentaries or extras. I like being able to go to my collection and knowing that something is there. Now, yes, I'm sure I could get it on a streaming service and it may work fine. Might not be the best quality, but it's definitely watchable. But then there's buffering. There's times that the movies can be removed. There's times that it might just not be there. I look at my collection as a personification of me. What it says about me. What it says about the movies I love. How I can have artistic, classic cinema next to exploitation 70s nonsense that are so apart from each other, but so wonderful to be able to have that choice. I like going to my collection and seeing a library of memories, of looking through my films and almost picking down points of when I've sat and watched certain things. I remember even silly movies, Pitch Black, old school. I picked them up on DVD when they came out. I remember sitting with my dad watching these movies that I had just bought. There was that firm memory that's in my head. My favourite movie, or one of my favourites of all time, The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. I remember falling in love with that, talking to my dad while watching it countless times. Movies are enjoyable. They're entertainment, they're fun, but sometimes along with it comes an explosion of memories, of pastimes, of fun times spent with people that I love or who are maybe no longer in my life, or something may have happened. But having that experience can be brought back from tactilely holding something in my hands and remembering it. It's like a little portal into the past almost. And I love being able to recommend and loan movies. And I do loan my movies out. I'm not overly precious to a point. Now, if there is a limited edition of a movie, I'm going to keep all the limited stuff. I'll give somebody the movie and they can watch it and give it back to me. I don't give away that kind of stuff because, I just don't. But I love recommending movies. I love being recommended movies myself. I collect because it's a passion. It's something that I can do alone, and it's something that I can share with others to enhance the whole situation. I love doing YouTube. The reason that I think YouTube is so amazing is because I get to talk to other film fans. Now, sometimes I'll review a movie. People will agree, people won't agree. But I love the explanations. Nobody seems to be really nasty about it. Everybody just seems to be friendly, fanatical, have a great point of view, and just chit chat about movies. It's something that I myself am deeply passionate about. If movies and collecting and having this was not in my life, I don't know what else I would be doing. Not that it gives me a purpose or a drive, but it's something that I can enjoy, a hobby that I love, I can share, I can communicate with people about. Some people, I don't know if you're anything like me, I have to be very careful when I'm in other company because I understand that I am passionate about film and people aren't always like that. So I'm very wary about not letting the geekiness and probably the dulcet tones of just talking about movies and berating people for 2 hours might not be the best thing. So, I obviously judge your audience, but I love to communicate with people, and having YouTube gives me that outlet. But having a collection is something that I find deeply fulfilling. It's never complete because there's always something to look forward to, but I love just sitting, going through the movies, reading the synopsis, and it may sound weird and odd if you don't do it. Sometimes I'll just sit in here, usually on the floor, pull out a couple of movies, read the booklets, flick through them, look at the synopsis. Sometimes I even talk to my kids about the movies. We kind of look at them and I explain things to them and tell them when they can maybe watch them, or sometimes sit with a family member and watch it. But I've even got my kids that way, when they're watching a movie, they kind of want the disc on because it gives them options. Just now, one of my kids is a big fan of the Harry Potter movies. The discs have standard edition, extra edition, extended edition, and they get to have that choice, which they know comes as part of the disc, but not on the streaming platforms. I love collecting because I feel as if we're in a world where a lot of film fans are now having companies and releasing movies and giving them the passion, the treatment that we want, that they feel a film needs. We get great packaging, we get great extras, although the price is now starting to rise up. It's making things a little bit almost counterproductive that way for companies. But I love having an array of movies that I can choose from. I love having the slipcovers, the booklets, the CD, all the bells and whistles, being able to talk to people about them, just having the movie in the best quality. Having a collection like this is something that I love. I deeply, deeply enjoy films in every way. I think and talk about movies almost every day to a certain extent, which I absolutely love doing. So I want to know is, why do you collect? Is it similar reasons? Do you have a large collection through compulsion? Are you chasing the feeling that you had going into the video shops? Do you just like having things? Having the films that you want there at hand? Do you feel that we are in the final stages of collecting of physical media? Is it something that's going to die out? The one thing I do feel kind of enthused about is the resurgence of records, because that was something that had faded away, but Nostalgic has brought it back in a big style. So it gives me hope that collecting is going to continue for the rest of my life anyway. I know I'm definitely going to do it because it's such a rewarding experience. So yeah, anybody wondering why I collect? That is why. All of those reasons. Let me know yours in the comment box below. There's more content up here if you want to see more of my stuff. Hit the video with a like if I know that you like this kind of content. And in the description box below there is a link to the membership program or Patreon if you want to support me for as little as 99p a month. It really goes a long way. It lets me know you're on a similar wavelength and love movies as much as I can. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next time on Man v Film.